Welcome to Zoom In, Zoom Out, your global look at news from Taiwan. I'm Wesley Lewis. In January, Taiwan ushered in the Year of the Snake. Customarily, families gather during the Lunar New Year and celebrate with extravagant banquet meals. At these events, it's traditionally seen as auspicious to have leftovers, which signifies a year of abundance. But this has prompted worries about growing food waste problems. Today, to discuss food sustainability, we're joined by Phaedra Fang, an assistant researcher at National Taiwan Museum's Education Promotion Division. She's been organizing exhibitions and online events since 2016, encouraging people to, quote, green up their Lunar New Year banquets. Phaedra, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So let's first zoom in on these exhibitions and online events that you've been organizing. What drove you to launch an exhibition to raise awareness about food sustainability, especially during Lunar New Year?
I'm working at National Taiwan Museum, and National Taiwan Museum is a environmental education certified venue. So we've been trying to come up with creative environmental education programs. And it's really difficult, just go out and ask people to be like, oh, let's do something good for the earth. And it suddenly occurred to me that for most Taiwanese people, what people care most about is food. And as a Han dominant society, the most anticipated meal in Taiwan is the Lunar New Year's reunion dinner. So we came up with this idea, why not we take this as a topic and, explore the environmental crisis behind it. And it was a great opportunity, not just for the public, but also for the museum to learn, because there's just so many issues behind the New Year's food.
Regarding the themes of previous exhibitions, how were they chosen?
At first, because my background is biology, so when I look at the issue of Lunar New Year's reunion dinner, like food issue, I focus more on ecological crisis. Because there are, for example, there's still a lot of restaurants or families who are having this banquet featuring shark fins. We discovered that environmental issues is more than just ecological issues. It has a lot to do with policies. It has a lot to do with culture. So in recent years, we are shifting our focus more to culture issues. We always have this lucky slam, 年年有余, like surplus year on year, but it is said in Mandarin. If you're not speaking Mandarin, then this phrase doesn't make sense. So it suddenly occurred to me that a lot of these quote-unquote traditions actually happened later. So that prompted me to look into the news database to see maybe there's evolution of our New Year's dish. And it's really surprising because in the past, the news reports about Lunar New Year's dish is not so popular. It's not so many entries. But the news report or articles suddenly surged around late 1990s. The reason is because a lot of the news reports or advertisements are encourage people to eat outside, to eat in the restaurants. Later in 2002 or 2000s, you see there are more opportunities to book New Year's food even from convenience store. So people are getting used to not making their own New Year's food. And in this trend, people are also getting unfamiliar with what's inside their New Year's food.
So you talk about changing cultural practices over time. Meat has traditionally been an essential ingredient in a lot of Lunar New Year banquet traditions. And I think recently, Taiwanese government statistics show that meat consumption has surpassed that of grains, I think in 2022. Is this trend concerning to you?
Yes, of course, because the reason why meat has always been an important role in our ritual or our Lunar New Year is because it is considered very precious in the past. Like 30 or 40 years ago, it's very rare for average families to have a pot of meat on their table. And the most anticipated thing during the New Year's is to be able to consume so much protein and also probably deep fried food. But nowadays, it's so easy for us. Like if we're hungry when we're having a late night work, we can just go out to a night market. It's just so easily accessible nowadays. And whenever we have birthday banquet, for example, we always have very good food. So we have to question ourselves whether it is still necessary to have so much meat on our table.
These events are in their 10th year, and a recent progress report mentioned that the exhibition has encouraged more than 90% of visitors to rethink their dietary habits. Talk to us more about that.
In the past, for example, we have some very concrete principles offering to our audience what you should be doing to be more sustainable. But nowadays, because we get to know more, we have more partners from different disciplines, so we tend to be more conservative, and we usually give very general principles. For example, maybe we should increase our vegetable consumption. You know, it's very intuitive. As long as you eat less meat, you're cutting down your carbon emission or your ecological footprint, that is for sure. And also eat locally and seasonally. And I think at least for most Taiwanese people during the Lunar New Year, it is still a practice to eat seasonally and locally, so that's a good thing. And also I think to be more advanced, we encourage our audience to go for food ingredients that are certified as eco-friendly produced. Recently, we actually focus more on encourage people to make their own food. Because really by making your own New Year's dish, you get to control or make sure the source of your food ingredients.
Besides raising awareness about food waste and sustainability, your events have also highlighted the diversity of food traditions, especially for different communities. How does that maybe help your mission for these events?
Because I come to a point that I have to organize a actual physical exhibition, and our senior colleagues told me, to make a physical exhibition, you can't just ask people to, let's eat sustainably. Maybe people would not be attracted to that kind of structure. So we designed that the first part of the exhibition to be featuring all kinds of food. And it occurred to me that Taiwan is diverse with all kinds of different cultural backgrounds, people from different cultural backgrounds. And it's going to be interesting to actually know what kind of food they eat in their major rituals. Reflecting my own example, in my family's Lunar New Year, only women were busy in the kitchen. Other people are in the living room watching TV or chatting, having tea. We prepare like 20 dishes of food for a whole table, but we never get to finish them. And everybody thought about is, we are having food. Okay, that's it. That's the ritual. But what I learned, for example, from my interviewee of the East Rukai in the Darumak Nation, my interviewee is a chef called Lily. And Lily told me in their harvest ritual, they've all anticipating this gathering with their family and friends, and they have a lot of things to do in the ritual, so they do not have that much time to prepare table food. So their food is simple, but they reserve time for their family and friends. And I never heard of that in Taiwan. It is because I'm preparing the exhibition, so I heard of that. So that really touched me. And I thought these values should be brought into the exhibition and share with our audience.
Now let's zoom out on this topic. Do you see a correlation between Lunar New Year banquet traditions with overfishing or the depletion of marine stock? And if yes, how do we address this issue?
Definitely, I'm sure whoever is having Taiwanese Lunar New Year's banquet or reunion dinner must have felt the rising price of fish For example, the most popular type of fish that we will have, or species of fish we will have on the table, is the silver pomfret. I remember when I was small, I can still have this kind of fish as our daily dinner dish. But in recent years, it has been extremely expensive. For example, I heard that a kilogram of silver pomfret will cost you more than $1,000, which is unimaginable in the past. And that tells us it's actually the problem of overfishing, because nowadays we still haven't found the way to culture silver pomfret. So you can only obtain this kind of fish by fishery. Like you have to catch the wild animals. Another very famous or popular fish is the croaker. It is also suffering from overfishing problem. For example, in our offshore island Mazu, there's a town when they used to have so abundant catch of croaker that they even had a sculpture of the croaker on the shore. It said in the past, it's almost like you can stepping on the croaker. But nowadays, it's not so. It's not so anymore.
So overconsumption, especially during the holidays, isn't just limited to Taiwan. Across the world, many cultures, many communities are often encouraged to overconsume and hold these extravagant meals for holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, or other New Year's traditions. So how do we tackle this type of phenomena?
With my project, Sustainable New Year's Dinner Table projects, since 2016, in addition to physical events and later on physical exhibitions, we also hold online events. For example, we encourage people to share with the museum their sustainable dish during the New Year's holiday. And so that also comes with a lucky draw to encourage people to, submit their photos. And we've been doing that for some years. And it's actually exciting to see, for example, in this year's submissions, many people, for example, they realize that there are not so many mouths to feed during the Lunar New Year, for example, only 4 people. And so they will probably only prepare 4 dishes instead of a table of 20 dishes. And so people start to plan, how much they can consume. And I think that's a pretty good sign that more and more people realize that.
So more broadly, how do our choices of food impact the environment in general? If we keep eating the way we do now, how will the planet change in the next 5, maybe 10 years from now?
One of the concepts that I brought to the exhibition I previously had is the term called Anthropocene. So basically, we consider whatever we do will leave some traces in the world. For example, nowadays, the most consumed meat is chicken. So imagine if after all of the human beings extinct, and there might be some aliens coming to the earth for excavation, the most fossils that they can find is probably chicken. If you buy a lot of takeout food, you come with this plastic and disposable waste, and they don't really go away. Although you can burn it, but none of them will be burnt out. Some of them might be floating elsewhere. For example, floating in the Sea of Penghu during the New Year, which I just visited. It's kind of like the end of the world to see all kinds of waste from all over the world gathering in a beach, a beautiful beach. So everything we do has consequences. I think it's very important for us to think of, the external cost of our food.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was great hearing your insights on the show today.
Thank you, Wesley, for inviting me over.
This has been Zoom In, Zoom Out. You can find more stories from TaiwanPlus News by following us on social media. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.